So, today I'm going to talk about the subject of Michael Jackson. What would you do if he were still alive? Would you be listening to his music? I would say, I don't think so because his music wasn't very good. His music's really from the 1980s to 1990s, as his solo music, and before that, he was in a group and stuff, but, generally he sort of lost his fame mid 1990s. Then, he was sort of dragging it along, up until he died in 2010 or whatever. So, I probably wouldn't be looking at his music very hard because he'd sort of phased out by the 2000s, definitely. He's sort of phased out after 1995, actually, and nothing about his movie or anything that he did afterwards really made him extra famous. I know, he has huge followings all over the place, and that, he'll probably have fans no matter what, but he wasn't actually getting more famous. He's actually getting less famous. And, he cut his hair, and some people liked it, some people didn't, but either way, he lost his iconic image of having long hair. But, I think, I don't think he was very highly regarded with shorter hair. I don't think it made him, any more appealing than he had been before. In fact, most people think he was less appealing, when they want to look at him or his image or him in a movie or whatever. I think they like the long hair a little bit, so, I don't think they like it very short at all. And a lot of people didn't actually like his relationships. I think he seemed weird to have a relationship, or they didn't want him in one, but, this is when you are between fame and people, I think people who followed him, didn't really want him married because it was annoying, but I think maybe people who knew him thought, being married was probably a good thing or whatever, so, but I don't think anyone really fell in love with his marriages very much. I mean, he was weird on the news, he was some weird object, personified as someone strange, as opposed to someone normal. And so none of his marriages looked normal because he was being personified as someone strange, So, no matter what he did, whether he married someone sexy or not so sexy or whatever, I don't think he was highly regarded in the marriage. It's if he was doing it to satisfy someone else's craving to have him married, I don't think it really worked out, and it obviously didn't because he had more than one person he was married to. But if you want to ask who is your favorite marriage that you like to look at, I think I know he was probably more settled with the Debbie one because of the fact that she could have his kids, but at the same time, I think generally, I think people rather liked him married to Lisa Marie in some way. I know they didn't actually like it, in reality, but, in the media or whatever, which one did you like the most? And I think him and Lisa Marie made a good couple. I mean, they were both, quite good looking, but, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, she's way too young, no one likes that anymore. But the other one just seemed a little unreal, their one actually seemed like a real relationship, and the other one seemed sort of like something that someone's posting up. Obviously it was a big deal that he needed to have kids, but it just didn't come across as very exciting. So obviously in reality he probably would like the last one he had the most because of the fact that he actually had kids. But, just many ways. I think if they made a movie, I think his and Lisa Marie's marriage would probably be the one to icon iconify or whatever, as opposed to the other one. But a lot of people might disagree and go, well, I would have chosen the other one so you can see him with his kids or whatever. But but a lot of people think that it was sort of a fake marriage and that he was the conception was helped to the point that they weren't actually his kids in the end anyway. So he wasn't supposed to be very fertile at all. So and I did not read any articles about why. I think I came across that it may be drugs, but I think generally he was infertile because he'd taken an infertility drug at some time in his early career. So that's what I think anyways. So I think that's the reason why a lot of people aren't actually fertile, because they've already, juiced a drug before they're famous. So because they weren't in love with the idea of having kids, or because they felt pressure to have sex too much and they didn't want to be fertile for it, or I don't really know who Michael Jackson is, but a lot of people think he's been to jail quite a few times, and it might be something to have done because he was in jail too many times or whatever. So it's really hard to believe that because you don't see him in jail. I mean, you see his clips that have some iconography of him being in jail, but people think, oh, that's just part of the play, but actually, it might be personifying that he had actually had a criminal record in some time. But I don't even know if that's true anymore. Like, a lot of people think he used to be someone else and now he's someone else, and no one really knows who on earth he is. They just know he's going to be a celebrity. So maybe you had never been to jail, I wouldn't know. But, I think, at some stage, some person who was exactly like him went to jail. And that's why they were made infertile. I don't know. But anyways, it's not really important. So I was talking about him being alive, so I guess I wouldn't really be listening to his music, even if it was there, because it's kind of going more into R&B, and I don't really like that kind of music. I only like some kinds. Like I like the new Britney Spears song, which has some R&B style to it, but I don't like a lot of R&B actually. It's kind of like music I just don't listen to. But that doesn't mean it's not popular. I mean, even Asian music is very popular, and I don't listen to it because I can't actually understand what on earth they're saying. But that every genre has its like the fans and stuff. So different people actually follow them, but I don't actually like it myself. So, because he wanted to branch out in R&B near the end, I don't think it was like that would be something I'm very much interested in. And I don't think him redoing his old style like he had done a little bit with the one of his songs, da 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 da. I don't actually remember what on earth it is, but it's one of his songs where he wears a hat and walks around with his hat down. It's sort of symbolizing like one of his earlier clips, like Billie Jean or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, either way, it didn't actually work. So I don't think him reproducing what on earth he had made in the 1980s would do any good either, because I think it would make him more unpopular, because no one really wants to hear it again. Everyone's like sick of the old music and they haven't actually stopped listening to it. So yeah, I don't think he had like any much to do with his career. I think a lot of people would rather see him like, my picture, it's gone on triple mode. Anyway, I don't think that he had a lot left in his career anyway. It didn't really matter. No one really wanted the limelight on him too much anymore. But I think, the only thing he has left going for him is probably movies recreating his life in this different aspect of it. I don't think anyone's really interested in, because he generally, the movies that he'd been in, they generally weren't actually any good. And so, the only thing he had left was going to do concerts more often and whatnot. So I think that's the only thing he could do himself. But I think there is, so without him doing his concerts, I don't really think he had anything much. He was still singing like mostly old songs in his concerts anyways. He hadn't even branched off into the new albums because they actually weren't actually as famous as his old ones. So, his choice between, oh, do you want to perform the new stuff or do you want to perform the old stuff? And you don't, not many people actually wanted to see the new stuff. They wanted to see the old stuff, I think, still. But, a little bit of variation and incorporation could have, been done at some degrees to have them mingle in a pleasant way or whatever. So, but no one, I think most of his fans actually liked his old music anyway. So, but I don't know. I don't know if it would have worked. I mean, to do a concert, they want to add visuals and more visuals and more sound and have some great stage with new visuals, and you're like going, I'm not really sure if that will actually do it. It will do something, but for a short time. But I'm not sure if that's actually going to make him more famous or anything. Um, so I'm not really sure. Like, it'd be hard to imagine, but I've never actually been to one of his concerts, so I don't know what it's like to go to one. Because when you're at a concert, often you experience like feelings that you don't when you're watching things over the internet. So that it's all about hearing things and feeling things, sort of thing. And but yeah, I just don't think having a fancy concert will like actually do it either. But it probably would have done something, but I don't think it would have been like, I don't know, the ultimate thing. If he had actually managed to do concerts, but I think there would still be empty seats. So if, like, there was a news report that not so many people were coming, and there was like 1 or 2 rows in like a huge stadium of, with seats like hundreds of thousands of people, or whatever, or thousands of people, and like 2 rows, 1 to 2 rows isn't that big, but the news report said, oh, 1 to 2 rows is such a big thing. He's lost so much fame, and this is a sign that he's really going downhill. And you're like, well, as long as it's 1 or 2 rows, I don't think that's included in like total non-fame, So it's not too bad after so many years, but still, yeah. So I think someone in his group or PR or what on earth is responsible for those sorts of things. I don't think that's like hugely catastrophic. So it needs to be a little bit of an ego go. I don't think his concerts will always be packed, and I knew that's what a lot of people wanted them to be, but I don't think that's going to actually happen. Not even with a redo with like total fancy things. I mean, people have to like be able to climb up and ride a holographic plane or something for it to be popular. And it's because they're actually doing something exciting. But I don't know. I think you would have phased out anyways. I mean, it's only so long. But yeah, so you ask yourself, would you have seen one of his movies if had a new movie bio of his life, like the like that group in Bohemian Rhapsody had a movie bio? I think it would be watched. I know there's an Elvis Presley one coming out in the next few years sometime. And so, whenever that comes out, that'll revamp his fame. So I think the same with this one. I think if they made a new movie with Michael Jackson, it would probably increase his fame. But he hasn't. His movie bios are better than his real movies, because even though they don't have him in it, they're just more interesting. But his real movies were kind of weird and only for fans, I guess. But he hasn't actually made like a real good movie ever. And so his movie bios are often more interesting than the movies that he was in, because they were never any good. But saying that, I think there is a big space to have his movie bio done again and again. I mean, you could do several takes of him, of different aspects. I think he's that kind of person where you can actually do a movie bio several times. I mean, you've got a lot of low budget movies out on the internet trying to do a movie bio of his life. But I don't think they've made like a really good one. I think that there's a huge space for that. But other than that, I don't really think that he's going to really increase in fame. He'd only get like older and older, and no one knows like how old he was, because they only see pictures of him, and his pictures often look really good on film, but really good, but then they have, here comes the raw natural old pictures, and his hands were looking like really old, and it wasn't very attractive, but his face is supposed to be looking quite young because he's always got makeup on it or whatever. So yes, but when you get old, like I know a lot of people think you stay as young as you used to, or you don't get old. When you get older, you get younger, or you don't get old as in old and unattractive. You get old and somehow you get more attractive, and that's not actually true. So a lot of people get more unattractive than attractive, and everyone thinks, oh yeah, when you're old you get more attractive because you do, but because there's a backward thought about aging now. They think if you do the right creams and do enough anti-aging serum, you can reverse time. But in reality, I think it's still that when you get older, you age. So I don't think anything's gonna sort of really make anyone so attractive when they're so older. So yeah, anyway, so no, I probably wouldn't listen to his music. It was sort of phasing out. He couldn't even recover it, not with an old twang. I may or may not have gone to his concerts. Probably not, because they're too huge. They're too big, and I don't know. They're usually too packed. I think I need a bit of breathing space, and so I don't think I would ever go to his concerts really, unless I happen to go or happen to get a ticket given to me, because I think they're just too crowded. Anyways, and don't ask me what they're like. And I probably would watch a movie bio of him. So I guess it's summing up those three aspects of what we would do if he were actually still alive.